Hello, welcome to our third discussion on the psychology of human memory dito sa ating libreng sit-in. Pero dito sa third installment natin of talking about human memory, we are going to do the reverse. We are going to talk about how people forget. In the past two videos, ang pinaka-focus natin doon is to study psychological principles on how we remember. Ngayon, pag-uusapan natin yung kabaliktaran, how people forget. And the reason why we're doing this is because I believe, and I think a lot of people also do, that forgetting is just as important as remembering. 'Di ba? Although marami sa atin gusto nating i-improve yung ating ability to remember things, marami rin sa atin sa buhay natin we have a lot of things that we would rather forget. In fact, sabi nga ng mga humanistic psychologists, one of the reasons why a person does not achieve his or her full potential is because of bad memories. Merong mga masamang alaala na meron tayo, napahiya ka, nasaktan ka, niloko ka, trinaydor ka, and those bad memories are the ones holding us back to achieve our full potential. Kaya ka hindi totally makamove on. Kaya ka hindi totally makapagsimula ulit. Kaya hindi ka totally makapag-concentrate sa mga bagay ngayon because of those bad memories that happened in the past. And so, kung gusto mong ma-achieve yung full potential mo, one way to do it is to quote-unquote forget those bad memories na nangyari sa'yo in the past. Unfortunately, kapag babasahin mo yung mga textbooks on cognitive psychology, it seems to me na maraming authors very biased towards discussing principles on how to remember. Mas dinidiscuss nila yun yung how to remember, pero bibihira lang yung mga authors na nagfo-focus on how we can forget things that we need to be forgetting. 'Di ba? Kaya ako ginawa tong video na ito to address that gap or to address that yung mga pagkukulang na yan in teaching people how to forget. Okay? One extreme example that I have is those people with PTSD. Ang pinaka-essence naman ng disorder na ito is people have the inability to forget something that happened to them in the past na sobrang sama. 'Di ba? Yung sobrang samang event na yon, sumusulpot-sulpot siya sa memory nila, therefore it's causing mental distress. 'Di ba? Now, this video is for those people without diagnosis of PTSD. Kasi para sa mga may PTSD, ibang mga approach ang dapat gawin on how to quote-unquote forget those bad memories na nangyari. No? Pero ang point ko lang dito is, again, to support the idea that there are things in our life that we would rather forget. And the good news is, meron tayong mga psychological principles na pwedeng gawin to help us forget those things in the past na gusto nating malimutan. Okay? But before we talk about those things that we can do to forget, i-define muna natin ng talagang deeply what does it mean to forget something. In cognitive psychology, ang technical definition niyan, inability to retrieve information. Meron kang hinahanap na information, meron kang gustong maalala, pero for some reason, hindi mo ma-activate yung information na yon, then that's what you mean by forgetting. In our everyday language in Tagalog, ito yung mga pagkakataon na nasasabi mo yung mga salitang yan, nakalimutan ko or hindi ko na maalala, di ba? Well, nangyayari yan. For example, meron kang nalimutang dalhin. Nalimutan mong dalhin yung bag mo, nalimutan mong dalhin yung wallet mo, nalimutan mong dalhin yung ID mo, hindi mo maalala yung tamang sagot sa exam, although inaral mo naman yon. So, those experiences reflect what you mean by forgetting. Pero again, I want to dig deeper kasi marami pang mga possible expressions yung forgetting Okay? And there are three other expressions of forgetting that I want to discuss in this slide. Number one, paano mo masasabi that someone has forgotten something? The information is not in any memory boxes. Remember Atkinson-Shiffrin. Sabi ng model na yon, information first goes in our sensory memory, and then we rehearse it, goes to our short-term memory, we rehearse it, goes to our long-term memory. Pero, one definition of forgetting is, given the Atkinson-Shiffrin model, yung memory na hinahanap mo, wala doon sa tatlong memory boxes. Not in your sensory memory, not in your short-term memory, not in your long-term memory. Then that means you have forgotten that information. And if you ask Atkinson-Shiffrin model, bakit nangyayari yan? Because you did not rehearse. Another definition of forgetting is yung interference in long-term memory. Alam nyo ba, posible na kahit yung information na sa long-term memory mo na, pwede mo pa rin yang malimutan. Okay? So, medyo exception yung number 2 sa number 1, no? Pwede ka pa rin makalimot ng isang information kahit na nasa isang memory box pa siya, specifically long-term memory. So, the question now is, bakit kahit nasa long-term memory mo na ang isang information, bakit nalilimutan mo pa rin? The answer is, meron kasing interference. And later on, pag-uusapan natin how interference work. But that is another definition of forgetting. Number 3, you can say na naka-forget ka ng isang bagay when you are able to get over certain ideas or emotions. Ito, yung number 3, kakaiba ito sa numbers 1 and 2 kasi number 3 is saying that hindi naman totally merong form ng forgetting na ang ibig sabihin, hindi talaga siya nawala sa memory mo. Nandyan pa rin siya sa memory mo, nandyan pa rin siya sa long-term memory mo. It's just that you are able to forget not the memory itself, but the impact of that memory to you. 'Di ba? Kaya nga sabi dyan, wala nang impact sa'yo. So, naalala mo pa rin yung taong nanakit sa'yo, naalala mo pa rin yung panahon na napahiya ka, naalala mo pa rin yung panahon na nasaktan ka, pero yung memory na yon, yung intensity niya sa pag-apekto sa'yo emotionally, hindi na ganun kalakas. Now, that can qualify as another expression of forgetting. Not totally forgetting the event itself, pero nawala na yung impact ng event na yon sa'yo as a person. Siguro mas maganda, bigyan ko kayo ng 3 examples of getting over ideas or emotions. When you get over a problem, pag sinabi mo, alam mo, bro, kalimutan mo na ang problema mo. Are you saying to that person na dapat wala na siyang totally maalala about the problem that we are talking about? Bro, kalimutan mo nang bagsak ka sa subject mo. Sinasabi mo sa kanya na dapat hindi na niya maalala in the first place na kumuha siya ng subject na yon? Of course not. Ang sinasabi mo, mag-get over ka na doon sa negative emotions na dala sa'yo ng pagkakabagsak mo sa subject na yon. 'Di ba? That's getting over a problem. You still remember the problem, but the impact of the problem to you, it's no longer that strong. Another example is when you get over someone. 'Di ba? Kapag gusto mong kumalimot ng isang tao, pag sinabi mong kalimutan mo na siya, sinaktan ka lang niya. Are you saying to that person na dapat dumating sa point na hindi mo na maalala ni pangalan niya? Hindi mo na maalala yung mga favorite foods nyo? Hindi mo na maalala dapat yung mga places na pinupuntahan nyo? No, because that's unrealistic. 'Di ba? Nasa long-term memory mo na yung taong nanloko sa iyo. It's just that ang gusto mong mangyari dito is you want to get over the impact of that person to you. Diba? The real reason that I'm over you is because now I see who you really are. Hindi ibig sabihin na nalilimutan mo na yung taong yon, pero nag-get over mo na, hindi na ganun kalakas yung impact sa'yo nung taong nanloko sa'yo, even when you see that person. So that's what you mean by getting over that someone, which is an expression of forgetting. Sabi pa nung isang kanta, di ba? I don't want to remember the things we used to do. All the things that remind me of you, I don't want to hear those songs, the songs we used to sing, because I don't want to feel the pain in my heart. Are we saying, based on this song, by the way, ang title nito, Pain in My Heart, di ba? Are we saying na gusto nating magkaroon ng amnesia yung taong kumakanta nito? Hindi. Ang ibig sabihin nito is, gusto nung kumakanta na maka-get over na siya doon sa mga emotions na nararamdaman niya about the person na dati niyang karelasyon. See, that's what you mean by getting over certain people, emotions, or events in your life. Oh, another example of getting over is when you get over negative events. 'Di ba? Saint Paul in the book of Philippians na experience yan. He said, forgetting what lies behind and reaching forward to what lies ahead. Are we saying na si Saint Paul nagkaroon siya ng Alzheimer's disease o nagkaroon siya ng amnesia na nalimutan na niya yung mga negative experiences niya? Of course not. You know, if you read the different letters na sinulat ni Saint Paul, maraming beses sinabi niya doon yung mga bagay na negatibo na naranasan niya. Pero what he's saying here is, those negative events na nangyari sa kanya in the past, hindi na ganun kalakas yung epekto sa kanya. Naganado pa rin siya to continue in spite of those negative experiences in the past. In Hebrews 8:12, when God says, "For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more." Are we saying na ang Diyos nakakalimot ng kasalanan? Diba? Of course not. God is all-knowing. Siya ang merong pinaka-perfect na memory sa buong universe. But what are we saying in Hebrews 8:12? What we are saying is, yung impact ng kasalanan mo sa'yo, God will just overlook it because you have been forgiven. Pero hindi ibig sabihin no na nalimutan ng Diyos na meron kang ginawang masama. It's just that He chooses not to intensify His anger towards you because of the sins that you have committed. He is able to get over the sins that you have committed against Him. Okay, so yun yung ibig sabihin ng getting over, which is again, another expression of forgetting. So ang video na ito, ang gagawin natin, pag-uusapan natin how to make this happen, yung numbers 1 to 3. 'Di ba? Paano mangyayari yung mawawala sa memory boxes mo, yung gusto mong malimutan? Paano mo gagamitin yung interference to help you forget something? And how do you get over ideas and emotions na gusto mo nang i-let go? Yung mga bagay na nag-hold back sa'yo to achieve your full potential, how do you get over those things? Yan yung mga pag-uusapan natin ngayon in this video. Now, for us to really understand what we can do for us to forget things, pag-aralan natin yung theories of forgetting na na-discover ng mga cognitive psychologists. Let's answer a very important question. Why or how do people forget? Ano ba yung mga explanations ng cognitive psychology in explaining how forgetting happens? And then from there, let's devise some strategies that we can use to help ourselves forget the things that we want to forget. Una, bakit ba ang tao nakakalimot? Merong biological factors. Merong mga nangyayari sa ating pangangatawan, specifically our brain, our nervous system, that explains forgetting. And one of those may kinalaman sa cortisol. 'Di ba? Yung cortisol, it is a body chemical na meron sa katawan natin, and studies show na ang cortisol related sa forgetting. The higher cortisol that you have in your bloodstream, the higher the chance na makakalimot ka ng mga bagay-bagay. As you can see on the slide, yung mga tao na matataas ang cortisol content in their bloodstream, mas marami silang mga bagay na nalilimutan in their verbal memory. So the question now is, kailan ba tumataas yung cortisol na yan that leads to forgetting kapag stress ang tao? So when a person is highly stressed, marami siyang demands from the environment, tapos sobrang limited lang yung resources niya, most likely that person will experience stress. So kapag na-stress ka, tataas ang cortisol level mo, it will affect your memory performance. I think students can relate to this experience, di ba? Karamihan ng mga estudyante, maraming nalilimutan yan during midterms week and finals week. Because it is during those weeks na stress ang mga estudyante, matataas ang levels of cortisol, therefore, naaapektuhan yung kanilang ability to remember. So during those weeks, midterm and finals, maraming nalilimutan ng mga estudyante. Nalimutan yung dalhin yung ID, nalimutan yung dalhin yung calculator, nalimutan yung tamang sagot sa exam, yan. And that's understandable because people are more likely to forget when they are very stressed. Now, given this thought, you can use stress to make it work for you. Kung meron kang mga bagay na gustong kalimutan, One way to do it is to moderately stress yourself. Take note ha, sabi ko moderately. Hindi ko sinasabing sobrang stressin mo yung sarili mo to the point na baka mag-lead na sa breakdown. No. Kasi studies show na ang cortisol, hindi naman kinakailangan sobrang taas niyan to impair memory. Moderate amounts of cortisol from moderate levels of stress is already enough to lessen the impact of a negative memory on you. So kapag may negative memory ka, gusto mong pahinain yung intensity ng impact niya sa'yo, ang gawin mo, moderately stress mo yung sarili mo para mangyari yon. Diba? Again, don't stress yourself too much. Dapat moderate stress lang. That's enough to lessen the impact of a negative memory sa'yo. And the best way to do that is to keep busy. Diba? Again, hindi mo kinakailangan i-stress mo yung sarili mo na to the pathological level, but keeping busy is enough. Doing productive things is enough to lessen the impact of that negative memory to you. Patataasin mo lang ng konti yung cortisol levels mo para humina yung memory trace of that negative memory that you want to quote-unquote forget. Another biological factor, bakit nagkakaroon ng pagkalimot, brain trauma. Halimbawa, humampas yung brain mo doon sa pader ng iyong skull, magkakaroon ka ng pwedeng contusion, pwedeng concussion, that can also cause loss of memory. Of course, hindi natin to hahanapan ng application, di ba? Hindi ko sinasabing iuntog mo ang ulo mo sa pader para makalimot ka. Although, that is a very popular explanation on why people forget, di ba? Yung nakarinig ka na ba na nagsabi na alam mo gusto na kitang malimutan kaya inuuntog ko na lang yung ulo ko sa pader. Meron palang scientific basis 'yon. But I don't recommend that you do that if you want to forget. Another biological factor why people forget, Alzheimer's disease, the disease of the old, the degeneration of the brain. People forget kasi yung brain cells ng mga merong AD or Alzheimer's disease namamatay, and so as a result, they basically lose all types of their memories. Implicit memory, explicit memory, procedural memory, so on and so forth. So, napakatinding sakit talaga ng Alzheimer's disease. Pero, yun na nga, wala naman sa control mo kung magkaka-Alzheimer's ka o hindi, di ba? So, kung gusto mong makalimot, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na magpapahawa ako sa isang taong may Alzheimer's disease, di ba? In the first place, hindi naman nakakahawa no, yung Alzheimer's disease. So, I think among these three biological factors, ang pinaka nasa control mo lang is yung cortisol levels mo. Cortisol management to help yourself, quote-unquote, forget the things that you want to forget. Anong sabi ko kanina? Moderate stress. Number 2, another reason why people forget, merong interference. Interference happens when the existing information cover the target information in your long-term memory. Sabi ko nga kanina, even if information is in your long-term memory, pwede mo pa rin malimutan yung information na yon because of interference. And this is how it works. Zoom in to a person's long-term memory. Kunwari, ito yung long-term memory ng sample natin, no? Halimbawa, itong estudyanteng ito, tinawag siya ng teacher niya to recite on the 4 ways on how to express attention, which by the way, we discussed. We discussed this when we talk about the psychology of human attention, di ba? Oo. Pero ang problema, this student, inaral niya yan, na-master niya yan 2 weeks ago pa. After 2 weeks, tinawag siya ng teacher niya to recite on this. Now, no doubt, this information nasa long-term memory niya. But at that moment, when the teacher called the student to recite on this, bakit nalimutan ng estudyante? Bakit hindi niya ma-recite ng tuloy-tuloy yung 4 ways to express attention? Kasi, after niya inaral yung 4 ways to express attention, ano nangyari? Meron pa siyang mga ibang subjects na inaral. Diba? Hindi lang naman COGPSYC yung subject niya. No? Marami pa siyang subjects na inaral at lahat ng subjects na yon merong tinuro sa kanya. So yung mga information na yon, as you can see here, tinabunan. 'Di ba? Natakpan yung information na yon on 4 ways to express attention. I-add mo pa diyan yung iba't iba pang mga old information na nasa long-term memory that person recently activated. So ano nangyari? Again, to use the Tagalog term, natabunan or nalibing yung information that you want to retrieve. Nandoon na siya sa bandang ilalim because of the other information that's on top of it. So when the teacher asks the students to recite, ano yung 4 ways to express attention, the student tries so hard. 'Di ba? Yung consciousness niya hinahalukay, hinahalungkat kung nasaan yung memory na yon. As a result, ano nangyayari? Hindi niya tuloy mahalukay yan, there you go, nalimutan niya, hindi siya makasagot doon sa teacher niya. In fact, a common experience that students have in relation to this is yung tinatawag nating tip of the tongue phenomenon. Alam mo, deep inside you na alam mo yung gusto mong hanapin, alam mo yung sagot doon sa tanong, it's just that you cannot verbalize yung information na yon. Pero alam mo, it's in your long-term memory. Kumbaga sa bulsa mo, nakakapa mo na nandoon, it's just that hindi makuha directly ng kamay mo kasi merong mga nakaharang. Okay? That's what happens in interference. Okay? Kaya nga, how do we apply interference theory in helping us forget things? How do you move on from your ex? You make new memories. Tatabunan mo dapat yung memories ng ex mo ng mga bagong memories. Diba? Going back to that illustration. Yun yung memory of ex mo. Diba? Gusto mo na siyang malimutan. Kasi na-discover mo, niloko ka niya, sinaktan ka niya. Ano ang dapat mong gawin? Tatabunan mo ng mga bagong memories yung memory of your ex para magkakaroon siya ng interference. So, sa dami mo ng bagong memories, ano nangyayari? Yung consciousness mo, hindi na niya masyadong na-access yung ex mo na gusto mo nang kalimutan kasi nga, hinaharangan ng mga bagong memories na ginawa mo. Diba? Kaya napakahalagang psychological skill yan, no? Making new memories para takpan yung mga bad memories. Okay? Now, meron nga mga nagsasabi, no? Ang sagot daw sa heartache is another love life. I do not recommend that you do that, but here's my point. Yung idea na yon, meron siyang psychological wisdom behind that saying, no? Meron kang heartbreak, ang sagot diyan new relationship. Why would that work? Because new relationships will create new experiences which will make this happen. Pero tulad nga ng sinabi ko, huwag tayong gagamit ng tao, just to get over another person. Masama yan. Okay? It's just that sinasabi ko lang to just to illustrate how interference work in the context of forgetting someone in a relationship. Pero again, I don't recommend that you do this. Huwag tayong gumamit ng tao as a tool para lang makalimot sa isa pang tao. Hindi maganda yan, masama yan. Pwede ka namang gumawa ng mga new memories na hindi ka gumagamit ng ibang tao, di ba? You can just focus on doing activities, doing things that you like, okay? Traveling, shopping, basta mag-create ka ng new memories na hindi ka gagamit ng ibang tao. Okay? Number 3, another reason why people forget is decay theory. Nalilimutan natin yung mga bagay because hindi na natin ginagamit. Our brain follows use it or lose it principle. The brain will automatically delete, buburahin na niya yung mga bagay sa memory system mo na hindi mo na ginagamit to make room, to give way for other memories na mas gagamitin mo. Diba? Yan yung ibig sabihin ng use it or lose it principle. We have forgotten things because we are no longer using it or we are no longer rehearsing it. Kaya naman marami mga psych majors ngayon hindi na alam kung paano mag-balance ng elements sa periodic table. Marami sa atin nalimutan na yung iba't ibang mga elements na nakakalagay sa periodic table. Bakit? Sabi kasi ng decay theory, hindi na natin ginagamit yung knowledge na yan unless you are a biology major. 'Di ba? Pag biology major ka, most likely pag-aaralan nyo ulit yan ng paulit-ulit, i-rehearse mo yan, therefore, maalala pa nila yan. But for a typical psych major or English lit major, di ba, wala namang kinalaman yung English lit dito sa periodic table of elements, most likely, hindi nyo ito i-rehearse, therefore, most likely, marami na sa inyo nalimutan na ang periodic table of elements. The same thing with trigonometry. Diba? Ang layo naman kasi ng field ng trigonometry sa psychology. We talk about Sigmund Freud, not about this table, 'di ba? So ang tendency natin, malilimutan na natin yung mga trigonometric principles na yan because we are no longer using it. You forget the things that you no longer use. Ano ngayon ang application ng decay theory? Paano mag-move on? Kinakailangan, let the bad memories decay on itself. And the only way to do that, according to decay theory, huwag mong i-rehearse yung mga memories na gusto mong malimutan. Unfortunately, a lot of people say they want to forget certain things. Pero, hindi nila pinapadecay yung mga memories na gusto nilang malimutan. Anong ginagawa nila? The more they are reminiscing on those bad memories. And by reminiscing those bad memories, you are going against decay theory. Kasi pag sinabi mong nagre-reminisce ka ng bad memories, nire-rehearse mo yung bad memory na yun eh. And as a result, imbis na mag-decay yung memory na yon doon sa long-term memory mo, lalo siyang hindi nawawala because you keep on reminiscing on it. You keep on rehearsing it. 'Di ba? Paano mo malilimutan yung ex mo kung lagi ka na lang pupunta sa isang sulok, tapos magpapatunog ka ng love song tungkol sa pagiging broken-hearted, tapos titignan mo yung mga pictures mo with your ex, talagang hindi ka makaka-move on yan. 'Di ba? Hindi nagdi-decay yung memory na yon sa long-term memory mo. In fact, lalo pa siyang lumalakas kasi rehearse ka ng rehearse. If you really want to move on from this ex, what do you need to do? You don't want to rehearse it. 'Di ba? Parang ganyan, no? Itong taong to, reminisce ng reminisce. Oh, nakatulala kasi inaalala niya yung mga lahat ng bagay na ginagawa niya with her ex. So hindi talaga niya malilimutan 'yan. Ano ang dapat niyang gawin? Ang dapat niyang gawin is ito. From this principle, 'di ba? You can start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last one. Huwag mong i-rehearse. Ang gawin mo, i-distract mo yung sarili mo. Now, I remember in the psychology of human attention, pinag-aralan natin that distraction is not good for attention. That's why when you have a lot of distraction, it impairs your attention, which impairs your memory. Remember, there is a strong link between attention and memory. You remember the things that you pay attention to, right? Pero, ito naman yung positive side ng distractions. Pwede mong gamitin yung distraction to help yourself get over a memory na gusto mo nang malimutan. And how do you do that? Halimbawa, ito yung bad memory mo. And it's bothering you a lot. Hindi ka makatulog, napapaiyak ka, nagpapalpitate ka every time you remember this bad memory. Ang gagawin mo, gusto mo i-decay yan. And how do you do that? According to the decay theory, don't rehearse it. But how can you help yourself not rehearse that bad memory? Gumawa ka ng iba't ibang mga bagay that will distract you from rehearsing that bad memory. 'Di ba? Damihan mo yung mga fruitful and positive experiences mo. Mag-Bible study ka, umattend ka ng party, mag-travel ka, read books, learn to cook, serve others, play sports, skydiving. You get what I mean? The more new experiences ang nararanasan mo, mas nawawalan ka na ngayon ng oras to rehearse that bad memory that you want to forget. Natatabunan na yung bad memory mo. 'Di ba? At kapag consistent ka, tinuloy-tuloy mo yung mga distractions na yan, ano mangyayari unti-unti? Yung bad memory na yan, because you are no longer rehearsing it, slowly, it would decay. Pero disclaimer lang, no? Ang ibig sabihin ko dito ng salitang decay is again, nawawalan lang ng impact yung bad memory na yan sa'yo. But it doesn't mean na totally malilimutan mo na yung bad memory mo na yan. Diba? I mean, your ex will always be a part of your long-term memory. So, just to be realistic about this, ang goal mo is paano mo mapapahina yung impluensya ng ex mo sa'yo na nasa long-term memory mo. 'Di ba? How do you do that? You let the feelings of your ex decay. And based on my illustration, the best way to do that is to do healthy distractions. Yun pa pala, no? Isa pang disclaimer, please lang, yung mga distractions na gagamitin mo to prevent yourself from rehearsing the bad memory, kinakailangan constructive. Huwag tayong gagawa ng mga distractions na lalo nating ikakasira. Some people do that, right? They do drugs, they drink, they use other people to help themselves get over negative feelings. Hindi maganda 'yan. 'Di ba? Kung i-distract mo man yung memory system mo, yung distractions na gagawin mo, make sure it is something that will add value to you and will also add value to other people. 'Di ba? In relation to decay theory, I think there is a biblical wisdom to back that up. 'Di ba sabi ni Saint Paul in the book of Philippians, whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy, what do? You think about such things. You rehearse the things na magaganda. Kasi the more you rehearse those positive things in your memory, the less time you will have from rehearsing the negative memories that you want to forget. Kaya sinasabi yan ni Apostle Paul dito, no, alam niya, this is good for our psyche. One way to forget the bad things is to keep on remembering the good things. Even King David, 'di ba? Nung siya'y hari pa, nung marami siyang mga problema, tuwing nadadown siya, isa yan sa mental strategies niya. I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember your wonders of the old. Alalahanin mo yung mga bagay na nangyayaring magaganda. Huwag kang mag-reminisce ng mga bagay na gusto mo nang malimutan. Okay? So yan yung wisdom na sinasabi ng Bible in relation to what cognitive psychology is teaching. So some other practical steps para hindi mo ma-rehearse yung mga information na gusto mo nang malimutan. Avoid the source. 'Di ba? Kung gusto mo na talaga malimutan yung ex mo, gusto mo nang mag-heal yung pain na ginawa niya sa iyo, as much as possible, avoid muna. Huwag muna kayo magkita. Huwag mo munang kausapin. Dispose the object use. Isa sa mga reasons bakit nare-rehearse mo yung ex mo kasi naaalala mo yung mga bagay na binigay niya sa iyo 'Di ba? Yung teddy bear mo, yung laptop mo, o ano pa, yung mga bracelet mo dyan, 'di ba? Lahat 'yon siya nagbigay. So every time you see those objects, nare-rehearse mo yung ex mo. So one way to do that is itapon mo na o ipamigay mo na lang, ano? Or itago mo muna para hindi ka ma-encourage to rehearse the ex that you want to forget. Avoid context cues. Huwag ka muna pumunta sa mga places na pinupuntahan nyo kasi kapag napunta ka na naman sa mga places na yon, i-rehearse mo na naman kung anong ginawa nyo doon, anong kinain nyo doon, di ba? So, in-rehearse mo na naman yung ex mo, hindi na naman siya nag-decay. Or form new memories. O, meet new people. Again, it doesn't mean na papasok ka na naman sa bagong relationship, but make friends. Diba? Be open to the presence of people around you. Join Bible studies, join prayer groups, have great time with your old friends, diba? That's another way to help yourself decay the memory of your ex. Pero ito, gusto ko tong last point na to, no? Another way to prevent yourself from rehearsing a bad memory is to look ahead. 'Di ba? People, kaya hindi sila maka-move on from a bad memory, they have the habit of reminiscing, looking back at the past. 'Di ba? O ano yung masamang nangyari sa akin? Bakit ba nangyari sa akin 'yan? O ito yung naramdaman ko nung nangyari sa akin 'yan. Stop looking at the past, rather you need to look forward to prevent yourself from rehearsing the bad memory. 'Di ba? Again, Apostle Paul, sabi niya, one thing I do, forgetting what is behind. Hindi siya nagka-Alzheimer's dyan. Hindi siya nauntog dyan. 'Di ba? Paano niya forget what is behind? Because he strains toward what is ahead, pressing on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. Kaya niya hindi na niya nire-rehearse yung bad memories kasi he is so much focused on what's ahead. 'Di ba? Ganun din sa ating everyday life, no? Kapag meron kang masamang memorya, sinaktan ka ng ex mo, niloko ka, stop reminiscing about what that person did to you. Of course, it's painful, but you cannot spend all your life, all your time, all your energy rehearsing what happened. One way to do that, look forward, 'di ba? Look forward, look ahead, new relationships, look ahead, new dreams that I can conquer para malimutan mo na yung mga negative things in the past. Because there are a lot of things to look forward to na hindi lang natin napapansin because we are so obsessed with things in the past. But looking ahead, looking at the horizon, ang daming mga bagay, magandang bagay that we can look forward to, which can help us move on from the past. In summary, how do you forget? Tatlo yung pinag-usapan natin. Keeping busy, but remember, the level of stress na ibibigay mo sa sarili mo, moderate lang, yung kaya mo lang. Number 2, forming new memories, pero wag kang gagamit ng tao to forget another person, masama yan. And number 3, not rehearsing bad memories. And the good news is, itong tatlong ito na sinasabi ko dito, lahat naman ito is within our control. 'Di ba? Lahat ito kaya natin gawin. In fact, I would say that these three are skills na kapag pre-practice mong gawin ng gawin, mamamaster mo rin. And when that happens, meron ka ng ability to consciously move on, to consciously forget those things that you need to be forgetting. So I hope nakatulong tong video na ito on how you can forget those things that you want to move on from. Thank you for listening and God bless.